Hello to all my fellow homemakers. I'm so glad we're here together again today. Every year when the holidays get close, I don't declutter because I have free time. I do it because I can't stand the idea of the holidays arriving and my home still feeling cramped, messy, and out of control. There was a time I'd spend an entire day trying to tidy everything, and yet nothing really changed. Later on, I tried a different approach. I focused only on the items that were actually getting in the way, duplicates, things I never used, things that didn't have a real place. And the result, totally clear, my drawers opened smoothly, I stopped stuffing things into corners before guests arrived. And I could cook, make coffee, have people over without constantly needing to reset the space. This video is my go-to list of 10 things I always clear out before the holidays. Easy to tackle, low effort. And they give me 3 things: breathing room, a sense of control, and the calm I want heading into a busy season. So let's start with the first one, something so familiar, yet surprisingly good at making your home feel cluttered. First, I want to start with something that causes more stress than we realize: all the loose papers scattered around the house. For a long time, I didn't notice how much those tiny bits of paper affected my mood. A bill sitting on the dining table, a flyer tucked into a book, an appointment slip left on the kitchen counter. None of them were big or visibly messy, but they gave me this constant sense that something was unfinished. Almost like a quiet reminder that I was behind on something even when I wasn't. Instead of waiting until they piled up, I started a small weekly habit. I grab a basket or a paper bag and walk through the house, literally just one loop around. The dining table, the countertop, the bedside table, my purse, the fridge door. I pick up everything without overthinking. Then I sit down, open my phone, take photos of anything worth keeping set, reminders for anything that needs to be paid, and toss the rest immediately. Once I found a sticky note I had left there for 3 months, a task I finished ages ago. And for 3 months straight, every time I glanced at it, I felt a tiny tug of I should handle that. Only when I threw it away did I realize I'd been holding on to a little piece of unnecessary guilt. This whole process takes maybe 10 to 15 minutes a week, but the effect is unmistakable. Clearer surfaces, fewer mental interruptions, and most importantly, I no longer waste time wondering where I put that one important slip of paper. Now we can move on to the next tip, something many of us keep out of guilt, even though it quietly clutters our space day after day. And if you've ever looked at something and thought, I might need this one day, tomorrow's video will speak right to that feeling. It's about one small shift in thinking that changed the way I decluttered everything. And honestly, I wish I had heard it sooner. Come back for it. It's the kind of tip that sticks with you for years. Let's talk about something small that quietly clutters up your kitchen: unused spices. I used to have nearly 30 jars of spices. Some were gifted, some I bought because of a random recipe I saw online, and some had expired without me noticing. The problem, every time I cooked, I had to sift through all of them just to find the one I needed. What should have taken 2 minutes took 5, and it left me feeling irritated before I even started chopping anything. So now, right before the holiday season, before I stock up on baking and cooking ingredients, I take a few minutes to go through my spice cabinet. I don't obsessively check each expiration date. I just ask one question: have I used this even once in the last 6 months? If the answer is no, I move it to a separate box to donate or toss later. And honestly, I rarely miss a single thing I put in that box. One time I found a jar of ground nutmeg, something I bought for banana bread 2 years ago and never used again. But I kept it not because of the money, but because of that sneaky thought, what if I need it one day? That day never came. Now, I keep only 6 or 7 spices I actually cook with. Meals are easier. I'm less grumpy when I'm in the kitchen, and best of all, my counters stay clearer because I'm not pulling out a dozen jars and then shoving them back in wherever they fit. Next, we're tackling something that seems useful, but only adds chaos: food containers with missing lids. Next, let's talk about something I used to keep just in case: but it honestly just made me frustrated every time I opened the drawer food containers without lids. I used to have a whole drawer packed with plastic tubs. Some were new, some were scratched, and a lot of them had no matching lid in sight. But I kept them because you never know, right? The problem was, when I actually needed to store leftovers, I'd waste so much time digging around trying lid after lid. Half the time I'd give up and just shove everything into a Ziploc bag. Now I do things differently. I keep only the containers I actually use, and every single one has a matching lid. At the start of each season, I pull them all out, lay them on the floor, and match them up. If a lid is missing, it goes. If the container is cracked, stained, or warped from the microwave, it goes too, and I don't feel guilty about it anymore. The result isn't just more space in the drawer. It's peace of mind. I'm not annoyed when I go to pack food. I don't have things falling out when I open the cabinet. I only keep what works, and that's more than enough. Now, the next thing we're tackling isn't hidden in a drawer. It's usually sitting right out in the open. Let's talk about the items we leave on the counter because we think we use them, but we really don't. There was a time when I thought I needed to keep everything I used frequently out on the counter. Turns out what I really needed was space to breathe. It started with the coffee corner. I had my machine, the grinder, a jar of sugar mugs, a milk frother, even a scoop. It looked cozy until one morning I knocked over the whole setup trying to wipe the crumbs off the counter. That's when I realized these weren't daily essentials, they were just visual noise. So here's what I do now. Once a month, I walk through the kitchen and ask myself, what on this counter hasn't been touched in a week? If it hasn't, it goes back into a cabinet or drawer. The only exception is if it's truly a daily use item, not just something I wish I used more. I used to keep a cutting board out all the time, thinking it saved me a step. But in reality, it collected crumbs and made the counter feel cluttered. Now I store it vertically next to the stove. It's still easy to grab, but my counter finally feels like a place to prep food, not store it. And the mental shift. Huge. When surfaces are clearer, my mind feels clearer. I wipe down faster, and I actually enjoy making breakfast, instead of pushing things around to make space. The next spot might not be visible at first glance, but it definitely adds to the mental mess. Let's talk about old dish towels and what they silently say about your routines. Let's talk about something small, but surprisingly frustrating dish towels that don't do their job. One morning, I was wiping down the counter after making coffee. I grabbed a towel, swiped once, and instead of absorbing the water, it just pushed it around like a wet paper napkin. That moment of annoyance, it was more than just about the towel. It was about how many little things like that had built up small irritations that made everything feel harder than it needed to be. I used to keep every towel. The ones with frayed edges, the holiday-themed ones, I never used. The good enough ones that were too thin to actually absorb anything. My logic, it's still usable. But I've realized usable doesn't mean helpful. And it definitely doesn't mean worth the daily frustration. So now I do what I should have done years ago. Every season, just like I rotate clothes, I check the towel drawer. If it's stained stiff smells even after washing or doesn't dry dishes in one pass, it's out. Some become garage rags, some get donated. But I only keep the few that actually make cleanup feel easier. That way I'm not just cleaning the kitchen, I'm making the work feel smoother and faster with tools that actually help. Because honestly, a kitchen full of decent tools feels more peaceful than one full of maybe one-day items. Next up, let's talk about a hidden kind of clutter that sneaks into your days even when it looks productive. I'm talking about time clutter. Let's go there. Next, let's step into a space that may be small, but carries way more mental clutter than we realize: the bathroom cabinet. That one shelf where you shove lotions, half-used shampoos, and products you swore you'd try, but never did. For years, I kept everything. That exfoliating scrub I didn't like the smell of. The expensive face cream I used twice. Even travel-sized products I brought home from hotels just in case. But none of it helped. If anything, it reminded me of money wasted and choices I hadn't followed through on.
Now, I follow one rule: if I haven't used it in the last 6 months, it's out. If it's unopened and still good, I pass it along to someone who might actually use it. If it's been opened or expired, I toss it no guilt. I keep just the few things I actually use and love, and that's it. The result: my mornings feel easier. I open the cabinet and know exactly what's there. No more digging, no more low-key shame. Just a clean start to the day, literally and mentally. Coming up next, we're heading back to the kitchen and talking about a tool you probably own that's secretly making your drawers feel more chaotic than they need to.
Now let's talk about a kind of clutter you can't see on your counters, but it weighs just as much a calendar that never breathes. For a long time, I believed I was staying on top of things because I was always busy. Every hour was accounted for, every day full. But despite all that activity, I constantly felt like I was falling behind. One afternoon, I looked at my planner and realized something. Every single line was filled. Tasks, reminders, appointments, no space, no margin, no pause. And it hit me. I wasn't organizing my life. I was just squeezing it tighter and tighter. So I changed my approach. Every Sunday night, I give myself 10 quiet minutes to look at the week ahead. I pick 3 things. 1 home task that truly matters, 1 personal task that supports me, and 1 thing I simply want to do. No justification needed. That's it. I cross out what doesn't serve me, even if it looks productive. The result: my days feel calmer. I remember things better. And I no longer feel like I'm apologizing to myself for not doing enough.
If you're constantly tired but your planner's always full, maybe it's time to subtract. Tonight, look at tomorrow. Cross off 1 thing that doesn't truly need to happen. That space you make, that's where peace gets to live.
Next, we're heading back to the kitchen, and I want to talk about one everyday item that's probably taking up way more space than it deserves.
There's a certain kind of drawer that quietly collects frustration, and it lives in almost every kitchen. Mine used to be stuffed with things that promised to make life easier. An avocado slicer. I used twice a panini press. I swore I'd use every weekend in a popcorn maker that took up more space than it was worth. Every time I opened that drawer, I felt a little more annoyed, not because of the mess, but because of the silent pressure of things I thought I needed but never actually used.
It took me a while to realize the problem wasn't clutter. It was guilt, the kind that comes from hanging on to stuff because we paid for it, or because maybe one day it'll come in handy. But one day rarely comes. So now I follow a simple rule: if it only does one job, and I haven't used it in the last 6 months, it goes. A solid knife and a good spatula have never let me down, and they don't take up half a shelf.
If you're ready to breathe easier in your kitchen, start with that 1 overstuffed drawer. Pull everything out, handle each gadget, and ask yourself, when did I last use this? Do I like using it? If you're hesitating or justifying, that's your sign. Let it go. Clear drawer, clearer mind, and you might even look forward to cooking again. Next, we'll move to something less visible, but just as overwhelming: the quiet chaos of paper clutter.
I used to think the paper piles didn't matter until I realized they were stealing my focus every single day.
It has a sneaky way of piling up, even when you swear you're staying on top of it. Bills you already paid, flyers you meant to recycle, takeout menus, old receipts, expired coupons, and notes from appointments you've already missed. They all gather in corners, drawers, and piles you keep telling yourself you'll deal with later. For a long time, I didn't notice how much those piles affected me. But then I realized something simple: visual clutter makes mental clutter worse. Every time I walked past that stack of random papers on the kitchen counter, it reminded me of everything I hadn't done, yet pay something, sort something, throw something away. It was exhausting. Now, once a week, usually Friday morning, I do a 10-minute sweep. I grab all the loose paper I see and dump it in one spot. Then I sort fast trash, file, or act. If it needs action, it goes on my to-do list. If it's trash, it goes. If it's a document I need, it gets scanned or filed. I don't overthink. I don't read every word. I just move through it.
If a weekly sweep feels like too much right now, just start with the one surface that bugs you most, the counter, the entryway table, the desk. You'll be amazed how light you feel just clearing that one space.
Next, let's take a look at something that doesn't always look like clutter, but takes up more space than we realize are extra linens. And finally, let's talk about those shelves of folded fabric we all think we'll use, but never really do. I used to keep stacks of backup pillowcases, seasonal flannel sheets, and old mismatched towels just in case. But the truth, most of them stayed buried at the bottom of the pile, untouched for years. They weren't helping me, they were just making laundry harder and linen closets messier. What changed things for me was one simple shift. I started asking, when did I last use this? Oh, if I had to think too long, it went. Now I keep 2 sets of sheets per bed, one in use, one clean and folded. Same with towels, just what we actually use and love. No extras stuffed in the back. No more digging around for the good set. This isn't about minimalism. It's about ease. When you open your closet and can see exactly what's there, no more guessing, no more unfolding 10 things to find one, you start to feel in control again. And honestly, that's one of the best feelings to bring with you into the holidays. So take a few minutes today. Open the linen closet, the towel drawer, wherever these things live. Touch each one. If it's scratchy, stained, or hasn't seen the light of day in months, let it go. You deserve better than chaos in disguise. If that resonated with you, I'd love for you to stick around, because in the next video, I'll be sharing more simple ways to clear space and reset your home without the overwhelm. See you there.
That's everything I've done to make my home feel lighter, not perfect, just peaceful enough to breathe. You don't have to overhaul your whole house. Sometimes clearing out one drawer, one shelf, or one pile is enough to shift the whole day. And if even one idea from this video gave you a bit more space in your home or in your head, then it was worth it.
There's more where this came from, so when you're ready, the next video will be here to walk you through another calm reset.
If this felt helpful, go ahead and tap like or subscribe, not for me, but for the version of you who's ready for a home that feels easier to live in.
And if you're looking for one simple idea that can flip the way you see clutter, don't miss tomorrow's video. It's short, powerful, and it gave me a kind of clarity I didn't even know I needed. Trust me, it's one of those things you'll want to hear at the right moment. And this might just be it.